Welcome to the 46th episode of the New Ventures podcast. I'm your host, Sanjoy Sanyal, the founder of Regain Paradise, a boutique climate finance firm, and a visiting fellow at the Cambridge Judge Business School. I host the New Ventures podcast to help people starting new climate initiatives learn from others who are already progressed in their paths. Our guest for today is Ben Huston, founder of the Crisp Packet Project, which takes plastic crisp packets and turns into all sorts of useful products. For example, survival blankets that can be used by the homeless. And this is an example of a circular economy company that is also making an impact in the cost of the living crisis. So we're going to talk about how you can scale efforts like hers. Welcome, Ben.
Hello there.
Ben, let's start by asking you, what type of useful products do you make? And of course, from what types of plastic waste?
So here at the Crisp Packet Project, we make survival items out of one clear plastic waste and crisp packet, and we send them around the UK and Ukraine. We make a survival blanket, which is 75 crisp packets, torso mat, ponchos out of clear plastic waste, wash kits full with wash kit items, biffy bags, which are about 117 crisp packets, weave mats out of clear plastic waste, and drawstring bags.
Great. Well, that is already a long list, Ben. Is there a main product, or is there a demand for all types of these products? And of course, my next question is, what type of people use them?
Our main product that we send out is a survival blanket, which can range from 44 crisp packets to 75 crisp packets. The quickest thing to make for us, and our less fortunate community or someone, who's struggling to even heat their home can use them. They're just a big sheet of crisp packet that you can wrap around them. They can kneel on it. They can put over their tent. Basically, the reflective properties in the blanket reflect your body heat back into your body, so it keeps you warmer for longer. And so, it takes about an hour to make a survival sheet or survival blanket.
Well, 1 hour to keep you warm. And you started in 2019 and you operate out of Hastings. How many items have you sold over the last 3 years? And the other flip side of this is, of course, how much plastic waste have you been able to recycle?
So basically, since the start of this project, we've made over 5,000 items, obviously all different items that we've sent out. We've basically saved 400,000 crisp packets that are destined to landfill. That's 16,000 square meters of clear plastic waste, which is pretty much 133 football pitches. So that's all was destined for a life in landfill, giving it new life to help someone that has nothing sadly living on our streets.
In particular, can you reflect a little bit on the progress or the challenges during the pandemic?
With our project, we had to stop, obviously, when we were in lockdown. A lot of our volunteers soldier away at home making these items, and I was able to drop off from their sort of gateway items so that they could carry on making these items at a distance. But we hold workshops 1 day a week and every other Sunday here at Hastings HQ. And we've got a very productive team of volunteers. There's about 15 of us in total. As I say, some work with us in the workshop and some work from home.
And has there been an uptick in this winter?
So we've seen a demand on people wanting these pretty much the same as last year or years before, to be honest. We have seen the demand on items being used more in-house, in your home, because of the cost of energy prices going up, which is sad to see in this climate.
Just to clarify, and before we move on to the next section, you use crisp packets, which is like the potato chips, and you use clear plastic waste, which is, I guess, some things that are used in packaging. Could you just confirm this? And then I'm curious to know, would the ban on single-use plastic have an impact on the supply?
So we use clear plastic waste. Basically, it's not too thick and not too thin. You can get it from leading supermarkets. We get it from a sofa company. Their soft furnishings come in. It doesn't want to be too biodegradable because we want it to last. It fuses extremely well. You can patch if you've got a hole as well. If it's too thick, it won't fuse and it will just peel back off the crisp packet. We get them so they're in really big bags. Again, you don't have to get them as bags. They can be much smaller. As I say, they fuse very well together if you get the right clear plastic. We tend to go for clear plastic because we want the reflective properties, the crisp packet, to work. So if you put a darker colour over, it's not going to work as well. And then ban on clear plastic waste is not really going to affect us because it's all going to be cutlery, straws, I think balloon sticks. Supposedly in 2025, they are going to ban crisp packets in the UK. So this banning plastic waste, which is coming in at the end of the year, is actually not going to affect us at all.
Great. Ben, we'll move on to the next section, which is what I said we will talk about. How do you scale businesses like this? But just to recap for our audience, you started in 2019. Your main product is what you call a survival blanket to help people just be warm. It takes 1 hour to make a survival blanket, so 1 hour to keep a person warm for the entire winter. And to me, that's a really big thing. And products that you use would have otherwise gone to landfill. They're not biodegradable. I think that's an important point that you made. And there will be a reasonably strong supply over the next few years. So businesses like you need to come up and need to be able to reach more people. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next section. You mentioned that it is a volunteer-driven organization, Ben. Is it a completely volunteer-driven organization?
Yeah, we're all volunteers here, making items out of clear plastic and crisp packets. The only money we take is when we do workshops that are out of house, but we get funding through different organizations for that.
But attracting volunteers isn't walk in the park. So, how do you attract volunteers, especially in the early days? How do you do it?
Well, because we started up the Big Weave, which was weaving weave mats out of clear plastic waste, word of mouth got about. And then when I came up with the idea of the crisp packets, social media helped along quite a bit with that, getting volunteers. But we've got a fantastic community down here in Hastings. And as I say, word of mouth is great. Obviously, social media helps a lot. And we've had our volunteers pretty much, I'd say, half of our volunteers have started right at the beginning and are still with us now.
So half your volunteers have started at the beginning and are with you now. So what's the total number of volunteers that you have in the community of Hastings today?
So we have about 15 volunteers down here on the South Coast.
Lovely. And tell us a little bit about these 15 people. I mean, are they young people? Are they retired people? Just give us try and create a word picture, if you may.
So the age range is probably about, I'd say, late 40s. But we have had teenagers come in and do their Duke of Edinburgh with us, which is fantastic. We do have other organisations like the Scouts and organisations like that jump on board. But pretty much our 15 volunteers are semi-retired. Some are business owners. And they just loved coming in here because it's a social thing as well as making something to help someone.
And when you mean come in, how many hours do they volunteer? And what do they do? Do they make these survival blankets and other products, or do they do other tasks as well?
We run our workshops every Wednesday for 2 hours and every other Sunday for 2 hours. So pretty much our volunteers come in on those workshops. They also work tirelessly at home making these items. So we will get half the items done pretty much in the workshop and then they finish them off at home. We have volunteers that just do strips of crisp packets for us. Not just our volunteers in Hastings. We have people that are making these items in grid format and then they send them in through the post. That's a great help for us. We also have many volunteers that wash and clean crisp packets and send them in to us because we're unable to accept any unwashed crisp packets now because we're so inundated with crisp packets.
Ben, listening to you is not just the 15 people, right? You have other people who are collecting crisp packets, washing them and sending them to you from the entire country, or is it the county?
Pretty much the whole of the UK washes and prepares crisp packets for us and sends them in nice and flat. Obviously, when we had our post open, we accepted unwashed crisp packets because we send the unwashed ones now to TerraCycle, which raises funds for CPP and the rainforest. But we are so inundated with unwashed crisp packets now, we can't keep up with them. But yeah, we do have a lot of volunteers making strips, fusing strips of 4 together for us and strips of 6 or 15 rows of 4 and send them in to us. The community of the UK is absolutely amazing. They don't just help the Hastings branch, they help other CPP area groups because this is a worldwide project. And we have about 13 CPP area groups worldwide now. So it's not just about Hastings CPP.
I think this is really interesting how the area groups have sprouted up. Tell us a little bit about these 13. Where are they? How did they sprout up? What is the relationship Hastings has with them?
Okay, so when we first started this, a lot of people wanted to jump on board and start up their own CPP area group, which was fantastic. I think a lot of them didn't realise how much it was involved in running an area group. We did have 42 area groups worldwide at one stage, and we're now down to about 13. Most of them are very productive. They have their own volunteers, or some of them are actually doing it totally on their own, but do have their community helping them cleaning crisp packets or making items for them. We have New Zealand CPP, which has now become a charity. We have 2 Australian groups. We have about 6 UK groups. We did originally have some in Canada, France, and Portugal, but sadly they're support groups now. We changed it just slightly recently to a support group because they weren't able to get as many volunteers in to help their project. So they basically just share information about CPP.
Right. So when you call it the CPP, you call it the Crisp Packet Project. And one thing that had struck me even when I read about it is you don't call it a crisp packet company, you call it a crisp packet project. Is there a particular reason for choosing this word itself?
So when we started up the Crisp Packet Project, it wasn't actually my name. A lady called Caroline Jane Miller, she actually opened a Facebook page called the Crisp Packet Project because she wanted to get crisp packets for me. And then she realised it was out of control and the Facebook page crashed at 3,000 likes. So whether I would have called it Crisp Packet Project, I don't know. But because it's a project, everyone feels like they want to jump on board, which is absolutely fantastic. So we have other people making items and they've set up their own group named something different, which is fantastic because it's all about helping the planet with one-use plastic waste and helping someone with nothing. So everything we do is free for anyone to help someone in a difficult situation. So the Crisp Packet Project, it's a fantastic name, really. I don't know whether or not I would have come up with that one.
Exactly. But I do want to understand the role of the area groups a little better. So, for example, I guess UK groups, just to focus on them for a minute, they also make the entire range of products that you talked about at the beginning. It is not that they collect and wash the crisp packets and send it to you. That anybody can do from anywhere in the UK. Just help us understand how does the area groups differ from just being a volunteer?
Our area groups will make and create the items from all our diagrams on our website, and they will send them out to their community outreach charities, or they will email me, and if they haven't got enough of certain items, we can send them items to help them.
Right. And your international groups, the ones down under, as they say, do they differ a little bit from the UK groups? I mean, are they more independent just because of the time zone, maybe?
Yeah, well, they're called Chip Packet Project. Like New Zealand, they've become a charity. So although they use all our information, etc., they're obviously more independent. We found with the chip packet projects that they found it a lot harder to get volunteers, to get people interacting and involved. I don't really know why that is. I don't know whether it's a language barrier. They've been struggling, but as I say, Australian group and the New Zealand group have done amazing work with different organisations and charities, Duke of Edinburgh.
So there's this web of volunteers, so as to speak, but you also have partnerships with a variety of organizations, right? Can you tell us a little bit about these partnerships and how they play into the whole impact that you're creating?
So we have a few partnerships that are really helping us financially to keep our projects going and spreading awareness about what we're doing. So we've just partnered with, it's all very early days, but they're wanting to help us quite a bit. Huston Partners, which are a company up in London, and they're helping us financially to keep our project going, which is absolutely fantastic. And we hope to go there and demonstrate and hold workshops for their employers and employees. We have Praxi Alliance, which again have been a fantastic company again in, I think, London. We have given them items that they've been handing out to their less fortunate communities, and they've supported us for the last few years. Arnold Clark, amazing organisation, again helped us with funding so we can buy wash kit items to put in our survival kit packs. We have East Sussex County Council, which has helped us crowdfunding match with projects that matter. That's helped us so that we can go out spreading awareness to schools and colleges, Scouts, all different organisations with our workshops. We are on the second year with Co-op, which is Swipe Your Membership Card Cause, which is a fantastic way of, again, raising money and awareness for our project. We have Local Rotary Club that's helped us, i.e. get our iMac. So without that, we wouldn't be able to hold our Zoom demonstrations so successfully. So that's pretty much our partnerships that are really helping us keeping our project running down in Hastings.
Well, it seems that you have partners who provide you support, sometimes in cash, sometimes in kind. And also you have partners who are charities who help you reach the products to the people who deserve them and need them. And you have partners who are public organizations, especially the one about crowdfunding. I'm sure we all want to know a little bit more about it. Could you explain that?
So the crowdfunding was on the internet. So the East Sussex County Council approached us and we could do a match funding with crowdfunding on the website. They were projects that matter. So we could go out to all different organisations like schools, colleges, Scouts, Brownies, you name it. We went out, church groups, took our lovely little mascot, Crispin, with us for the younger kids to hold 2-hour workshops or assemblies to spread awareness on one clear plastic waste in crisp packets. So that was a match funding that they did. We've basically, the last year and a half, have been doing that, going to different organisations, holding workshops.
So what I'm trying to understand is you put in a crowdfunding project and the public authority could provide match funding, and that got you to be able to hold workshops in the areas that they care about and get more volunteers for the project. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, so anyone can open a crowdfunding page, but at this time, East Sussex County Council were running their own funding for projects that matter, which was only in the East Sussex area. So we were able to match fund what we raised.
And then I want you to understand a little bit about the support that you get in cash and kind, which is what you said to run your project. Obviously, you're a volunteer-driven organization. Could you help us understand what is the need for grants to support your own project or your own organization?
Well, because we're self-funded, obviously, we have rent to pay, heating to pay for, obviously, irons to make these projects cost money on the electric. So we do need donations. The public are very amazing as well. They donate through our PayPal. All these items, we can send them out for a donation, or we can send them out for free for anyone that needs items throughout the whole UK. So without all these grants or partners or the general public helping us, it wouldn't happen. We do have charity sales to raise money for CPP as well, but it isn't really enough to keep our organisation running especially with the price of electric, etc., going up.
Right. Well, I'm listening to you, and I'm going to ask you this question that I can think about your project being in every emerging market, especially in the areas, informal settlements, for example, in Africa or Asia, where there is so much of these crisp packets lying about, plastic waste lying about. People could put them together and create, sleeping bags for people in the informal settlements. You have literally thousands of projects like yours running across Africa and Asia. What would it require to be done?
Yeah, lots of admin and people willing to give up their time. I spend so much time on admin. As I say, we made our website as clear as we can so that anyone in the whole world can pick up this project and help someone. And we've done diagrams, videos, and this takes so much time to create, as you well know, doing podcasts. Hundreds of hours we spent designing all of our videos to help anyone that wants to just get a few crisp packets together, a bit of clear plastic waste, and to make an item so that you can help someone that has nothing. These are life-saving items that we made, especially in the cold of winter months.
I'm going to summarize, what you last said. This is incredible, Ben, what you just said, that with people volunteering their time, they can change lives. And, what I'm taking away is that you don't have to build one large company to create real impact. Here is a small project starting from a small seaside town in the UK, which has had influence across multiple continents. People picking up these ideas. Your product designs are all open source. Your processes, people can study them by attending a workshop, and you can do this in any part of the world. And that is what is fascinating and, to me, incredibly powerful. When you said what it requires admin time, it means people volunteering their time. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require super high technology. It just requires people focusing on this problem. And to me, that's the important message that you're providing.
It is an absolutely, you're spot on, Sanjoy. It is an amazing project, making something out of nothing to help someone who has nothing. And it is about volunteering. And as I say, all our information is free, just to help your one clear plastic waste and crisp packet problem in your area, to make something to help someone. It's a magic project.
My last question is that if people from, let's say, Africa or Asia want to connect with you and, sort of bring you over and speak to people who can volunteer time, there are lots of people who can volunteer their time, how should they get in touch with you?
Well, you can contact us on the crisppacketproject.com or the chippacketproject.com. Email us and we can send all the information over. Or you can have a look on the website and, most of the information is on there. How to fuse, how to make items, how to set up a CPP area group. Yeah, just drop us an email.
Thank you very much, Ben. This is really wonderful. And I'm so happy that we did it. And I hope people from all over the world take you up on this offer. If you like this podcast, do visit us on regainparadise.org, regainparadise.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and you can also subscribe to these podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Apple, and YouTube.